Hey everyone, Brian here with DIY Outdoor Life. In today's video, I want to take you on a tour and have a little discussion about what I believe is the coolest tiny camper mod that I've ever seen. So let's get to it. So the modification I'm going to show you today is what was done on this Annex room. See, these retractable awnings are very, very popular on tiny campers. There's a whole bunch of different brands that make them. Some folks DIY them. Sometimes they're sold as an accessory on the camper. Once you have one, there's a whole bunch of different room attachments that can give you this little extension off your tiny camper. It's obvious why these are so popular. You have all the joys of owning a tiny camper. It fits in your garage, it'll go anywhere, it's easy to tow. But once you're at the campsite, you can more than double your space. So there's a nice screen room, and you can actually drop these walls and get some protection from weather as well. So I know this is a popular accessory on a camper. Let me show you about what makes this one different. So this Annex room has been modified, customized to fit this camper. So you can see it's nicely fitted around the door. There's a rubber track that's installed and some shock cord that keeps it in there nice and secure. There's some marine grade snaps along the bottom. The material that was cut out of this door was used to kind of form fit around this fender. So everything is tidy and up against the wall here. Depending on the topography around your campsite, if this was perfectly level, this fender fits nice and neat and tight. But obviously each campsite is gonna make you have to alter things just a little bit. But as you should be able to tell from this, everything about this awning room is now different, and I think it's completely been taken to the next level. So this modification obviously allows me to come in and out, and this really feels like an extension on the camper. But if you're new to this, when you buy one of these Annex rooms, they're supposed to come as like a one size fits all. And that usually means that they really don't fit anything well. There's either a giant door that unzips and is really baggy, or you have to remove the entire internal wall on these to get them to work with our tiny campers. It ends up kind of bunching up, and it looks like a set of hand-me-down clothes when you're using it. It's still really nice. But having this seal to the camper does a number of things. You could imagine at night when the lights are on in here, the bugs can't get in. Or if there's a big opening underneath your door, or there's openings over on the radius of the camper, the flies come in and they get trapped in here. I also want you to realize that this forms an envelope seal, so you can actually heat this space. Whether it's an indirect propane heater, a diesel heater, or if you're at the campsite, you can use an electric heater. And if it's the shoulder season and it's 40 degrees out, you can get this room into the 60s. You can't do that if every time the wind blows, it's just letting the air in and out. So overall, this is a really, really nice set of customizations that, in my opinion, take this room and just skyrocket as far as its usefulness to me. I can't take any credit for this, so I want to point people in the right direction. The truth is, the sewing and cutting and those skills are outside of my wheelhouse. And one of the most helpful things you can know as a DIY person is when you shouldn't try to do something yourself. That boundary is key. So in my video description, I'm going to point people in the direction of my friend Sam and Cindy's YouTube channel, Adventures of the Memory Makers. Some of you already know that channel, but Sam and Cindy take on some real elaborate projects. Sam is very talented, and they do some long form videos showing how they do different mods like this one. But the part that I'm most excited about is this year Sam started Thewizardofmodz. It's a customization shop for campers. It's in Indiana. There's already a waiting list. So I'm gonna give the information for that as well. But Sam can sew, do welding. He can do all the mechanical things. If you want the basics done, he'll do your brake adjustment and bearing grease and sealant. If you want more elaborate things like a custom room like this, he does them as well. Now, I'm gonna show you a couple of the other adjustments he's made to this room, but I don't wanna get out ahead of him either. There's a bunch of little things that he's done to make this room super, super useful for me, and it's gonna stand up to the weather, and that's made all the difference. So as useful as this seems, I've always had mixed feelings about these awnings and these awning rooms. You might have noticed that for 3 years I've traveled the country in a tiny camper, and I did not put one of these on my camper. There's several reasons for that, and we could do a whole long form video just diving into those reasons, but here's some of the basics. I fell in love with the Euromax canopy. I'm not sponsored by them, I don't get paid by them. I've just tried them all out, and that one is incredible. I set it up, it doesn't take that long. I do have sidewalls for that, and that thing can go in any weather. I've had it in some tremendous thunderstorms. I've got out in the morning and scraped 6 to 8 inches of snow off the roof of that thing. Just inherent to its design and how beefy that thing is, it can really stand up to the weather. Now that has not been my experience, here we go, with these rooms. I've done dozens of tours with people's campers, and they all have these, and they say, oh, this is the best modification that I've ever seen. But then a storm starts brewing, and they have to drop one corner all the way to the ground. The reason why is the top of this will trap water, and it snaps this center post. They are not rugged when it comes to really big rain, and I wouldn't think about using these in the snow. So this roof material, it actually bellies and traps water. It can hold over 100 pounds of water in there, and there's no way that this structure is gonna hold up to that. It also gets jostled around in the wind. When we were at the Bushwhacker gathering, we had some crazy weather. The next morning I got up early, I was riding around with the e-bike. I took some photos. Several people's annex rooms and awnings were damaged. Either that or they pack them up before the storm. Now, in my opinion, and it's just an opinion, it's like, what good is a shelter if you have to pack it up before there's bad weather? So I know people have done a good job. They know how to angle it to get the water to run off. But there were several things that I saw Sam had done with his annex room setup that really changed my opinion from this being kind of like a fair weather shelter to something that I could use every day. And instead of that big, heavy Euromax that's like really hard to get up on the roof and it takes up a whole bunch of space in my truck, this thing packs up to a small duffel bag and the main structure folds away. So if we could get this to work in some crazy weather, well, 2 thumbs up if we can get that to happen. Sam has, so I'm really excited about some of these changes. So after seeing like a dozen of these things get all bent up and damaged, and looking at the comments in the Facebook groups and the forums on campers, this is the main culprit. You see how light duty this is? It gets the job done with light rain and stuff like that, but especially with this awning room pulling on it with wind, this seems to be the main place where the damage is. So when I send you to Sam's channel, you'll get better content than I'm gonna give you. I didn't follow all of his directions and my stuff doesn't work quite as well as his, but I'm getting there. He makes these little black T's in a jig. He makes them just right so that they fit on certain paint poles. Mine, I kind of had to fabricate a little bit to get it to fit. So pay attention to the exact links, but it's set up so that it actually snaps and has some holding power in there. Then you can get it to the right height that you want it at and lock this pole in. This is really important because if the wind is gusting up, it has some ability to hold on there more than if we just kind of use like a crotch stick. But now you've taken the weakest point of this thing and turned it into one of the stronger points. I can tie a little loop here and run another guy wire down if there's like a thunderstorm coming. Something as simple as taking one of these big tennis balls on a good extendable paint roll can take your ceiling and move it from like 6 feet high to 7 feet high. Now you can actually walk around in here and have a little bit of space. It's also going to help shed water. There is 1,000,001 tips to make it easier to set these up, to pitching the outside just a little bit when the storm's coming. I don't want to get out ahead of Sam, but he's got a whole like tent structure built into the center of his, and it is not going to hold any water. But these simple things, along with these tricks you'll learn along the way, can take this from being like a light duty shelter to something that can actually hold up. So whether you're using one of these as a little extension room to put a cot or mattress for the kids or someone else who's camping with you, or you want a bug-free place to go to eat a meal, some folks use these as a changing room because it's hard to change your clothes inside a teardrop. I've seen bathroom setups. For me, I like to use it as an insect shelter. We like to eat meals in here. Adding a touch of heat is a really, really nice upgrade to have a little bit of a heated room. And I'll do follow-up videos because I've been working on different things to cool this. That's extremely difficult and the results are gonna be limited. But there's a lot of neat things that this has allowed me to do that I couldn't do before. But I hope you understand the important stuff is all of this money and setup that we do is not any good if this thing is going to get trashed every time the weather is bad. So I hope that you guys will check out the Wizard of Modz Facebook group, and you know, I'll send you a contact information. He's located right next to Hiker Trailer. I actually brought this there before I brought this thing home. That was really convenient. And check out his higher quality, non-redneck versions. His stuff all looks nice. So sure, I can spray paint this and start to gussy things up as I do my trial and error, but he's a much better source for these things. I absolutely love this. Lucia loves it. To be able to open the door in the middle of the night and walk out to a room before you exit to the outside. I can't express enough how this has taken a tiny camper and all those benefits and made it feel like you have a much bigger sheltered camping space. I will put things in my description for some of the stuff that I did along with some of the different brands. This one's 23-0. They make an ARB version, Ironman, Tough Stuff, Napa. There's 1,000,001 different versions of this. They're all pretty good, but I really appreciate you guys watching. Please leave me a comment if you have a room like this and you've started to figure out some of these things we can do to actually make these tougher. Thanks as always. I'll see you guys next time. Here we go.